The story of Krazy Joe was torn from yesterday's headlines, and it's as terrifying as tomorrow's.
Good morning. Welcome back to Krazy Joe Adventures. I'm Krazy Joe. It is October 30th, best known as Mischief Night, and as a result, I have come to a place that is synonymous with Mischief Night because this place was the center of the world's attention on October 30th, 1938. I'm in Grover's Mill, New Jersey, and if you don't know what happened in Grover's Mill, New Jersey in 1938, then you don't know your pop culture, because this is the location of the famous Martian invasion from Orson Welles' classic 1938 Mercury radio production of War of the Worlds. Happened right here, or at least supposedly it did, because of course nothing really happened. It was a fictional radio show. But it was done in the style of a news broadcast, and they happened to just choose the name Grover's Mill because the screenwriter of the play, Howard Koch, dropped a pencil on a map of New Jersey, and it landed on Grover's Mill, and he thought, hey, I like the sound of that. Like Mayor Goldie Wilson, I like the sound of that. And it caused a nationwide panic. People thought Martians were invading based on this Orson Welles radio broadcast. So this is the spot right here. We are in the spot where the Martians landed, supposedly. Now, I've done a little bit of research. The legend has it, what we've all grown up hearing, is that it caused a nationwide panic, that people heard this, thought it was an actual invasion, and that people got very, very panicked and were taken to the streets. Apparently that's a bit of an urban legend. There's a grain of truth in it. It apparently happened in pockets. There were pockets where people would hear this and get scared, mainly around New Jersey and New York, because it was supposedly happening right there. But the reports I've read said that there wasn't much of a panic here because people could look out their windows and see nothing was happening. Yet, having said that, the legend has it that this water tower behind me, can we see the water tower? There it is, right there. This water tower right behind me was supposedly being shot at because people thought it was the Martian ship. The Martian ships in the novel and in the radio broadcast were tripods. So I guess the way that water tower is sitting, it kind of matched it, what they were describing. So is it true? Were people really shooting at that water tower? I don't know. That's what the legend says. So it's possible. But still, whether it happened or not, we've all heard the stories about that radio broadcast. And it's kind of amazing to be standing in a place that is such an important part of pop culture history. Now, this building, this old barn, is now a law office and a photography studio and a real estate agent. So this is office space now. But back in 1938, this would have been an old barn. So we are at the spot where the Martians supposedly landed. What do you think of that? Now, there's a couple locations around the area that we're going to take a look at today, but this is Grover's Mill. Now, obviously, the original novel took place in Victorian England. Orson Welles updated the setting for the modern day to New Jersey, but it was originally set in England. Let's go see what else we can find War of the Worlds related in Grover's Mill, New Jersey. Let's get crazy. We're not too far from where we were before. Short. I was in the car for maybe a minute, not even that. But if you need any more proof that this town has really, really embraced the pop culture of that night and that radio broadcast, look no further than this street sign. Landing Lane. Landing Lane. They named a street landing lane because this is where the Martians landed. Yeah, I read online that the original name of the street was Martian Landing Lane, and they had to shorten it. I don't know if that's true, but that's what I read. There's something else around here that I'm trying to find. However, I got a really bad internet signal around here, so I'm having trouble getting directions. Hopefully I can find it. There's a couple more really cool things in this area that we want to take a look at. Just got to find the directions. In fact, I was trying to find where Landing Lane was, and my GPS couldn't find it. And then, boom, by pure coincidence, I happened to drive by it. So how cool is that? They named a street Landing Lane because this is where it happened, where the Martians landed. Couple more things. Let's go check out a couple more things in the area related to War of the Worlds. All right, now this is really cool. Look at this. We are outside the Princeton Junction Volunteer Firehouse, established in 1931, just a few short years before that famous broadcast. And if I could cross the street here, yes, we are going to see something really cool. Look at this. Right outside the firehouse is a sculpture of a Martian ship. Man, I'd seen pictures of this thing online, but it is so much cooler in person. I heard that this thing was placed here for one of the anniversaries of the broadcast. I'm not sure which anniversary that was. But look at that thing. It's a tripod, just like in the books and in the radio version. This thing's amazing. You gotta love it when a town's going to embrace something like this, like the town of Phoenixville, the way they embrace the blob. But this is really cool. Kind of standing in the street here to get a good shot of this thing, head to toe. I don't know how loud it is. Cars keep going by. I turned to show you the car, and I actually just missed the car. It's funny. But yeah, no, I'm literally standing in the street. Fortunately, this street is not that busy. But look at that thing. That thing is... What if you lived here? Like, what if you lived in one of the houses around here and you just come out and there's a Martian. There's a Martian outside your house. I don't know. I love it. I would embrace it. I would totally embrace that. I think this is fantastic. All right. We're not done yet. We're going to see more War of the Worlds stuff. Let's go. I don't want to leave this thing. I want to take it home with me. I want to put this outside my house, but I can't. Let's go to the next site. Now, obviously, I have Martians on the brain because I parked all the way on the other side of the parking lot. And as I was walking over here from a distance, I thought that said the UFO store. It is not a UFO store. It is a UPS store. But how cool would that be if this town had a UFO store? But alas, it is not to be. I am, however, looking for a store somewhere in this shopping center. And I must have parked on entirely the wrong side of the shopping center because I have yet to find it. But I will. Here we are. Grover's Mill Coffee. I haven't had lunch yet, so I'm going to get some lunch. But first we want to take a look at this place. This coffee shop is entirely themed to War of the Worlds. Look at this. Here's Orson Welles. He's recording. We got like Martian and War of the Worlds memorabilia everywhere. Look at that painting. That is beautiful. We know that place. We've been there. There's the water tower. And look, it has gunshots in it. Really cool. Here is the poster to the original George Powell movie. This was my first encounter with War of the Worlds, this movie. I remember they aired it back in the 80s on Philly 57, the local TV station. And back in those days, if you were a sci-fi fan, other than reruns of the original Star Trek or reruns of Buck Rogers or Battlestar Galactica, there wasn't much sci-fi on TV. So if a movie came on, you watched it. And that was the first time I saw War of the Worlds. And I know the book and the radio play, the ships were tripods, but these are what the ships look like in the original movie. Now there is the poster for the Tom Cruise movie from '05. Really liked that movie, very well done. Kind of thought that was a throwback to old school Spielberg, 70s Spielberg. There's another poster for the '05 movie. They're selling t-shirts. Got Martian themed t-shirts. Some more posters from the original movie.
Yeah. I have to cover her shift tomorrow. So maybe you'll see me tomorrow.
And look at this. We got an alien tripod with a coffee dispenser on top. That's how I want my coffee, served from an alien tripod.
Good health and happiness.
We got more t-shirts over here.
Thank you.
Now let's look down here. There's more stuff along the wall here. There's an article from the Sunday Star Ledger from '05. This is around the time of the Spielberg movie, talking about the original Orson Welles broadcast. This is from the 50th anniversary in 1988. What is this? City of Trenton. Gentlemen, to avoid a reoccurrence of a very grave and serious situation that developed in this community last night due to the public misinterpretation of the broadcast through WABC at about 8:15, dramatizing H.G. Wells' War of the Worlds, which completely crippled the communication facilities of our police department for about 3 hours, I am requesting that you immediately make an investigation and do everything possible to prevent a reoccurrence. Look at this. That is stamped 1938. It's a letter from Orson Welles. Dear Mrs. Carter, I appreciate greatly your thoughtfulness in having written me in regards to the War of the World broadcast. It was most regrettable to me that this program should have caused apprehension or discomfort to any of my radio audience. Had I been able to foresee the reactions of some of my listeners to this broadcast, I would not have presented it. Look at this. Orson Welles and John Houseman. The great John Houseman was also part of the Mercury Theater. New York Post article from 1938. That's from Halloween Day. Radio war panic brings inquiry to a U.S. scan. Broadcast script. This is really cool. This is an article about the coffee shop opening. William Doc 76 stands ready with his trusty shotgun to ward off an attack of any strange creatures from Mars. I believe that might be... No, that's not the barn where we just were. I think that's the building that was behind the fence. You know, when we were there was a fence and there was a building behind the fence. I think that's what we're looking at there. Really cool stuff. Look, this is autographed. All right, I'm gonna get some food. Then we have one more site to check out. But I love seeing a community embrace something like this. This reminds me of Phoenixville. I said it before. It reminds me of Blobfest in Phoenixville. How they just embrace the blob. Or The West Virginia town that's embraced Mothman. Yeah, if you're in this area, be sure and stop by Grover Mills Coffee Shop. I almost missed it, but it was pointed out that some of the blends of coffee they have are also themed. Look, there's Invasion Roast there. And down here, there's the Orson's Espresso Dark Roast. Gotta love it. Look at that. Look at that little guy. In the same shopping center is Carlucci's Grill, which we can only hope is not owned and operated by Louis Carlucci, featured in the NBC TV series Unsolved Mysteries. There's a deep cut. Google that one, kids. And I couldn't resist but buy a Martian cookie. I mean, it's not on my diet, but how are you going to turn down a Martian cookie served in a War of the Worlds themed coffee shop? I mean, I'm a sucker for a gimmick. I can't say no to something like this. Okay, we have reached our final destination for the day. Van Nest Park in West Windsor, New Jersey. This was the hardest location to find. My GPS just did not like the directions I was asking for. It took me a million places except where I wanted to be. Now the trick is to find where we're... Oh, I think I found it. I was looking around. I'm like, this just looks like a big empty park. But no. I see it up ahead. Let's go check this out. There it is. Up ahead. A monument placed here commemorating the 1938 War of the Worlds broadcast. Look at that. It looks like some birds unfortunately chose to do their business all over this monument. That's a shame. But let's this is the Martian landing site. October 30th, 1938. Grover's Mill, New Jersey. There's a ship. There's Orson Welles. And there's a family listening on the radio. And it says down here, on the evening of October 30th, 1938, Orson Welles and the Mercury Theater presented a dramatization of H.G. Wells' War of the Worlds, as adapted by Howard Koch. This was to become a landmark in broadcast history, provoking continuing thought about media responsibility, social psychology, and civil defense. For a brief time, as many as 1 million people throughout the country believed that Martians had invaded the Earth, beginning with Grover's Mill, New Jersey. Dedicated by the citizens of West Windsor on the occasion of the 50th anniversary. This was put here on October 29th, 1988. There you go. Look at that. From what I understand, there's a few other monuments here in the park that we're going to take a look at. Just got to find those. But there you go. Been wanting to visit this monument for a couple years. It's just hard to find the time. This is about an hour from my house, which doesn't sound that far, but you got to figure that's an hour drive one way, an hour drive the other way back. You know, kids, work, responsibility. It's not easy to find the time, but I'm happy to be here on Mischief Night 2024 to celebrate what happened on Mischief Night 1938. You know what? My father was born October 13th, 1938. So my dad was only a couple weeks old when this radio broadcast happened. There you go. Let's go look for the other monuments. All right, we do have these. Look at this. International reaction. Approximately 6 million people are believed to have heard the broadcast, and there have been conflicting ideas about the number of people who actually panicked. Front page of the New York Times on the following day had "Taking war drama as fact." The story told of responses throughout the country, including thousands of persons called the police, newspapers, and radio stations here and in other cities of the United States and Canada, seeking advice on protective measures. In Newark, a single block at Heddon Terrace, more than 20 families rushed out of their houses with wet handkerchiefs and towels over their faces. In Indianapolis, a woman ran into a church screaming, "New York destroyed, it's the end of the world. You might as well go home to die. I just heard it on the radio." Services were dismissed immediately. Legend has it that locally some residents opened fire on a water tower. We saw that water tower, thinking it was a Martian. In the days following the broadcast, a public outcry arose, but the station maintained listeners were reminded throughout the broadcast it was only a performance. The Mercury Theater escaped punishment, and CBS had to promise never again to use the words "we interrupt this program," never again to use the "we interrupt this program" format in fictional entertainment. In 2003, a broadcast of War of the Worlds was made part of the National Recording Registry of the Library of Congress. I think there's a couple more plaques along this walk. Not terribly far from the marker we saw is over there, the monument. The monument covered in bird feces. But let's take a look at this. Quotes from the broadcast. The Grover's Mill reporter: "Good heavens, something's wriggling out of the shadow like a gray snake. Now it's another one, and another. They look like tentacles to me. There, I can see the thing's body. It's large as a bear, and it glistens like wet leather. But that face, ladies and gentlemen, it's indescribable. I can hardly force myself to keep looking at it. The eyes are black and gleam like a serpent. The mouth is V-shaped with saliva dripping from its rimless lips that seem to quiver and pulsate." A Princeton professor describing the Martian's weapon: "For want of a better term, I shall refer to the mysterious weapon as a heat ray. It's all too evident that these creatures have scientific knowledge far in advance of our own." A bulletin stated, I have been requested by the governor of New Jersey to place the counties of Mercer and Middlesex as far west as Princeton and east to Jamesburg under martial law. 4 companies of state militia are proceeding from Trenton to Grover's Mill and will aid in the evacuation of homes within the range of military operations. All right, I think this might be the last one. Maybe we were supposed to start here. I think we were supposed to start here and go this way, but we did it backwards. The October 30th broadcast. The broadcast was 1 hour long and consisted of multiple news bulletins which interrupted Ramon Raquello and his orchestra playing smooth jazz. The skit involved on-the-scene reporters and scientific authorities who reported on the events occurring as the Martian capsule landed in Grover's Mill. The Martians attacked and destroyed the New Jersey state militia, and then they attacked other cities throughout the country, including New York City. The last portion of the broadcast was a monologue by Welles explaining that the Martians had been killed by a pathogen. To end the show, Welles went back to his normal persona and announced that the show was a Halloween joke. So I think that's the last plaque. And these plaques are on this trail. Yeah, and I was supposed to start up there. This is the first one. We read them in backwards order, but they're overlooking quite a picturesque pond. Very nice pond here with the sign around the corner there marks as Grover's Mill Pond. So it's quite nice. Let's take one look at that before we end this adventure. Yeah, there it is. Grover's Mill Pond. Quite picturesque. very nice, very peaceful and relaxing. All right, everyone, that's going to do it for this adventure. Thanks for watching. I hope everybody has a wonderful Halloween. And if you like what you saw, please give it a like. Please subscribe. Please pass it on to a friend so we get more people watching. I'd appreciate it. You know, in this age of 2024 with the internet and Twitter and instant messages and all the forms of media we have, it's hard to imagine what happened in 1938. But to think that one radio broadcast done for entertainment purposes could have made everyone go that crazy is a little wild, but it was a different world back then. Here we are leaving Grover's Mill. Just imagine alien tripods behind us, laying waste to everything. Quite a thought. Really excited to finally be able to do this video. Thanks for watching. Keep wearing those pajamas.
Keep wearing those pajamas with the plastic feet. Keep wearing those pajamas. Tell everyone you meet. Keep wearing those pajamas with the back door flap. Keep wearing those pajamas. Don't open, it's a trap. Oh no, it's a trap. Some people call them PJs, some people call them jammies. They can come embroidered with big money and no whammies. They can have 100 tiny commander pajamas, but no matter how they look, just keep on wearing those pajamas. Keep on wearing those pajamas. Keep wearing those pajamas. And now we're having fun. Keep wearing those pajamas. And now the song is done.